The bright studio lights bathed the stage in a warm glow as the audience applauded the arrival of Meghan Markle. Kelly Clarkson stood from her seat, all smiles, extending a hand. "Please welcome Meghan Markle," she announced in her trademark energetic voice. Meghan walked out in a sleek cream dress, waving to the crowd, her expression a perfect blend of elegance and charm. They sat across from each other, coffee mugs in hand, the stage cameras zooming in for that cozy girl-to-girl chat vibe. Kelly opened with lighthearted banter, asking about Meghan's recent projects. Meghan responded smoothly at first, but soon her tone took a subtle shift. She began talking about the importance of deep, intellectual dialogue in media, and then, with a faint smile, she added, "It's rare to find platforms that go beyond superficial questions." The comment, though phrased politely, hung in the air like a challenge. A ripple of awkwardness swept through the audience. Kelly's smile remained, but her eyes flickered with the sharp awareness of someone who'd just been lightly jabbed on her own turf. The tension was invisible to casual viewers, but in the studio, you could feel it, the kind of moment where everyone instinctively sat up a little straighter, sensing a storm brewing beneath the bright TV gloss. Kelly leaned forward slightly, resting her elbows on her knees, the mug in her hands almost like a prop in a showdown. She tilted her head with that friendly but dangerous smile country singers use right before the punchline of a song. "Well, Meghan," Kelly said, her voice light but edged with steel, "we like meaningful conversations here, especially when people actually answer the questions we ask." The audience let out a quick collective "ooh," like a school hallway when someone just got verbally dunked on. Meghan's smile froze for a second, just long enough for the cameras to catch, before she laughed softly, the kind of laugh meant to disguise irritation. "Oh, I'm answering," Meghan replied smoothly, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I just think people are more interested in the bigger picture than, sound bites." Kelly didn't blink. "Oh, trust me," she said, leaning back now. "I've done my fair share of sound bites. But sometimes those little moments tell you a lot more about a person than a 10-minute speech." A couple of audience members clapped at that, the sound echoing like the first drops of rain before a storm. Meghan adjusted in her seat, crossing her legs a little tighter, her hand gripping her mug like she wished it were a shield. The heat between them was no longer subtle. It was humming through the set like static before. Lightning Kelly shifted the conversation toward Meghan's humanitarian work, her tone neutral, but her eyes still carrying that flicker of challenge. "So you've been talking a lot about your charity efforts lately," Kelly began. "Tell us about the impact you've made on the ground." Meghan's voice smoothed over again, confident and polished. "I've been deeply involved in global initiatives, working tirelessly to bring awareness to causes that matter. I think my commitment speaks for itself." She gave a practiced smile, the kind that was designed for magazine covers. Kelly's expression didn't change, but her words did. "That's interesting," she said, her tone casual, almost conversational, "because I've actually been working with that same children's literacy charity for a while now. And when I mentioned your name to them, they said they've never actually met you in person." The studio air seemed to thin. A collective gasp rolled through the audience, followed by a sharp hush. Meghan blinked just once, as if steadying herself. "Well, I work behind the scenes," she said, laughing lightly. "Not everything needs to be publicized." Kelly leaned in, her voice just a notch lower. "Oh, I completely agree. But sometimes the most important work is the stuff you do show up for." The audience broke into applause, some clapping slowly with that knowing, almost theatrical rhythm. Meghan's smile didn't quite reach her eyes now. She glanced at the cameras, as if to remind herself they were still rolling, but her grip on her knee had tightened, the nails of her manicured hand digging just slightly into the fabric. The tension was no longer background static. It was an electrical storm hanging directly above them, ready to strike. Meghan straightened in her chair, her voice measured but noticeably sharper. "You know, Kelly, I think it's unfair when people assume the only way to contribute is by physically showing up. I do plenty through my platform and my connections. Influence is a form of presence." Kelly's eyes didn't waver. She took a slow sip from her mug, set it down deliberately, and smiled. Not the sweet TV host smile, but the kind you give someone when you're about to end an argument for good. "You know, Meghan," Kelly began, her voice calm yet cutting through the air like a clean blade, "sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for a cause is to actually be there, not just post about it." The audience reacted instantly, a mix of gasps, applause, and those sharp whistles people make when they know someone's just been roasted. A few people even stood up, clapping with wide-eyed grins as if they couldn't believe they were seeing this live. Meghan's smile faltered for the briefest of moments, her lips tightening before she forced them back into place. The cameras caught it all, the flash of annoyance in her eyes, the tiny shake of her head. Kelly leaned back, utterly relaxed now, as if she'd just taken the last move in a game of chess she knew she'd won. Meghan, on the other hand, adjusted her posture like someone preparing to leave, her body angled slightly away from Kelly, as though distancing herself physically could undo what had just happened verbally. The energy in the room had shifted completely. Kelly owned it now, and Meghan was struggling to keep her grip. The applause from Kelly's remark was still echoing when she smoothly pivoted. "Speaking of showing up," Kelly said, "there's been a lot of discussion online about some of the controversies surrounding you lately. Do you think the criticism is fair?" The question hung heavy in the air, direct and unavoidable. The audience quieted instantly, leaning forward as if the entire room was holding its breath. Meghan's smile thinned into something brittle. "I'm not here to rehash tabloid gossip," she said coolly. "I came to talk about serious issues, not—" Kelly cut in gently but firmly. "It's just that some people feel those serious issues get overshadowed when there's a gap between your public statements and your actions. How do you respond to that?" There it was, the line Meghan clearly wasn't willing to cross. Her eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. She reached down, unclipped her microphone with one swift motion, and set it on the chair. "I don't have to deal with this," she said under her breath, but just loud enough for the audience, and the mics, to catch it. She stood, smoothed her dress, and walked toward the stage exit. Gasps rippled through the crowd, followed by murmurs and a few surprised laughs. The cameras tracked her for a moment before swinging back to Kelly, who was sitting there cool as ever, one eyebrow slightly raised. "Well," Kelly said, breaking into a bright, unbothered smile, "that's live TV for you, folks." The studio erupted, clapping, cheering, some even whistling, as the show's theme music kicked in, and the screen faded to commercial. It was the kind of moment that would be replayed, memed and dissected online within the hour.